dip the sort of stuffed meat with the pepper in the egg white, and then you fry it. And then it just turns into this like fluffy cloud that is stuffed with meat. It's pretty amazing. Hi, I'm Benjamin Benne, and I am thrilled to be Chance Theatre's 2025 Resident Playwright. I'm actually originally from Los Angeles County, and I did my undergrad in Orange County at Cal State Fullerton. So in that sense, I'm a local to the community, and I'm thrilled to be coming full circle and returning as part of this residency this year. So at the very bottom of the body of water follows a woman named Marina, who has experienced quite a bit of loss and is grieving. And the play begins with another loss of hers, which is a fishmonger who she's been going to for many years in her local community, and how that throws off the routine that she's had for many, many years, and how that one difference in her routine has this sort of ripple effect in her life at large. The way that the play began for me in terms of process, it was a piece that was written in the year following the passing of my father. So the play was part of 3 plays that I wrote in the span of 12 months that all explored the theme of mortality. And this play very specifically was set in my hometown of Hacienda Heights in Southern California, part of Los Angeles County, and is really looking at the mingling of different cultures, which was my experience of growing up, that there were people from many different backgrounds and were sharing culturally in the community that I grew up in. So my relationship with the Chance Theatre officially began last year in 2024 with a production of Alma that took place and that I was so blessed to have been able to see and be a part of in some small capacity. I absolutely adored the collaborators and the people involved and had such a wonderful time getting to know the leaders and staff at Chance Theatre. But it was a theater that I had been aware of for many, many years because I had done my undergrad at Cal State Fullerton, and it was one of the professional theaters that would often get named when people were starting to talk about theaters that existed within our community and that we would hopefully one day work with as graduates from an Orange County university. So as part of OTR and being able to interact with audiences, that's actually my favorite part of being a playwright. I absolutely love process, so being able to dive in with collaborators and have an opportunity to work with the director, work with actors, and really look at a piece and be able to dissect it, see what's there, work on how we interpret it, and then get that sort of immediate response from an audience in terms of what they're understanding about the story is just what I love about what I do. It's so exciting to be able to explore storytelling and how we tell the story and why we're telling the story and how it resonates with other people. So I'm really excited about this play at the very bottom of a body of water and this opportunity to explore it in a reading setting because it's one of the first plays that I ever wrote. I think I wrote it between the years of like 2013, 2014-ish. So it's been with me for a long, long time at this point. And it's a piece that it never quite felt like I finished. So I'm really excited to return to it, especially because I haven't really actively worked on it since like 2017. And then this past year in 2024, I began to look at the play again, do a little bit of finessing on it, and decided that I wanted to open the project back up as something that I wanted to actively develop again. And it feels amazing to be able to return to Southern California where the play is set and be able to work on it at Chance Theatre and have this sort of full circle moment of coming back to Orange County where my professionalization as a theater artist originally began. So it feels like a beautiful sort of full circle coming back, a homecoming moment. And part of why I'm really excited about exploring this play right now is I feel of the plays that I have written, that this piece has the most comedy in it. It still has a lot of substantial themes and explores grief in a very sort of head-on way, but also has a lot of laughs. And I feel like this moment really wants us to be able to lean into important subject matter in terms of what we're talking about, but to be able to do so while also having some laughter and delight feels equally important right now. So a big part of this play, and actually one of the things that inspired it in terms of its specific content, is a catfish soup that my family makes, and specifically my mother would make it pretty often. So one of the things that I was interested in with the storytelling of this play was the ritual around food that is both cultural, but also one of just timeliness and how often we eat the food. And so my character Marina makes a catfish soup that is based on my family's recipe, and she, the character, makes it weekly as part of the ritual. And another piece of the storytelling is just about how different people have relationships to fish as food and how that crosses culture. So Marina meets a Japanese man named Hiroshi, who also has a unique relationship with fish, and they're able to share culturally in terms of food and its value to them. So I think the state of theater right now is one where I'm seeing a lot of compression, at least in terms of new work on a large scale. I think that is part of the result of 2020, that just a lot of theaters had to close and have just not come back at the same level as it was pre-COVID. And I think new work has always been sort of something that has not been as present in terms of producing for most theaters, and I think that's even more true now. So I'd say that feels difficult as a living playwright who's trying to write new plays, and it's also why I'm so appreciative of Chance Theater, who does contemporary work and does new work and works with living playwrights. It's super meaningful and super necessary for someone like me who's trying to make at least part of a living doing this and wants to make meaningful art that speaks to this specific moment that we're living in. So in terms of the work that I've been seeing theatrically lately, I've been super excited that so much of the work has become more and more specific in terms of identity and things that people relate to on a really personal level, and how that feels like the thing that has been the most forward in terms of work. It's really exciting to see very different characters that are representative of communities that I think have not been represented within the theatrical landscape, or at least haven't been very visible. Even if that work has been there, it hasn't been produced. And I think we're seeing more and more productions that are speaking to like really hyper-specific identities and culture. And that's always super exciting for me, and as an audience member, but also as a maker, because it feels really important to me that I represent communities that I feel like I come from, in terms of being a Latinx person, being a biracial person, being someone who comes from a Christian tradition in terms of faith, and how those ideas also present in my work, and also how I feel perhaps at conflict with some of those ideas that I was raised with, or want to push back on some of them, or want to critique them on some level, and how that also inspires the writing that I do. Also in terms of the work that I've written and thematic threads through that work and that body of work that I've noticed is I definitely started writing plays as a way to process grief and loss. And I feel like that is something that on every work that I've written has been present on some level. So that's been really exciting, especially coming back to such a new play like At the Very Bottom of a Body of Water, which was so steeped in those feelings of grief and loss and really was born from them. And to see how it relates to a play like Alma that also has to do with grief and loss, but not necessarily in terms of mortality. And now with some of my more recent work that hopefully you all will get to engage with later on in the OTR season, those themes continue to be very present in terms of my playwriting. So I'm super excited to be able to show a sample of very early work that works within those themes, sort of mid-career work like Alma that also speaks to those themes, and some of my newer work that also is within that same sort of trajectory. I am more of a finisher personality, but I am a multitasker by necessity. So far, I've written, I think it's 10 plays, but it might be 11. Now I'm sort of unsure, but it's either 10 or 11. And then in terms of plays that I have in my head, I have two pieces that I am thinking about very deeply and starting to do research towards and gathering images. I tend to be a very image-driven writer, and the image is something that I feel very passionate about in terms of storytelling. But I think the specific thing that actually gets me to start writing the story and not just thinking about it are the specificity of images and sort of world-building components. So I'm still gathering those sort of world-building aspects of the two plays that I'm interested in writing in the future. So a favorite dish of mine are chile rellenos, but the Guatemalan kind, or at least the type of chile rellenos that my family makes, which are jalapeno peppers stuffed with ground meat. And the ground meat is a mixture of usually beef, but also it's mixed with potato. And then it's stuffed, and then it's dipped in egg white, and then it's fried. And I've recently learned how to make this recipe, like how to make it. I'm learning how to make it. At first, you have to like separate the yolks from the egg white, and then you beat the egg white until it turns into this like froth, and then you kind of put the egg yolk back in just for like flavor, and then you have to like dip the sort of stuffed meat with the pepper in the egg white, and then you fry it, and then it just turns into this like fluffy cloud that is stuffed with meat. It's pretty amazing. Some rituals I have in my life, I struggle with that because my life, at least in the last few years since I finished grad school, have been so much about traveling for work and traveling really consistently and not having a strong sense of routine, which I struggle with because I love routine and I love a sense of ritual. But I would say some small ones that I try to keep are I do morning pages based on Julia Cameron's The Artist Way. So every morning when I wake up, I'm supposed to do 3 pages of handwritten, just whatever is occurring to me that morning when I'm waking up. Sometimes it functions as brain drain, sometimes it almost acts as sort of a jumping off point for therapy. And so that's one important ritual that I think I at least attempt to keep up. Some others are like prayer, especially before I eat a meal. And I would say another one is I like to watch some kind of TV show that I've seen before and don't really have to think about as I'm trying to fall asleep. So something like Project Runway or Alone or Mad Men, which is my favorite TV show. Okay, fun fact. So I recently visited my teacher, Terrell Alvin McCraney, who is the writer of the movie Moonlight, which I love. And he won an Academy Award for that movie. And it was the first time I'd seen an Academy Award in person was when I visited his office recently. He's the AD at the Geffen now, by the way. So check out the Geffen. It's great. So another fun fact about me is that I grew up with a lot of pets. It started with fish, and then I had mice, and a story that we tell in our family is that like I had 2 mice that then turned into so many mice that we couldn't keep them in the house anymore, and we had to like move them outdoors. And then the story keeps changing, as stories do in families. But the recent version of the story was that we had gone on vacation for a weekend, and when we returned, all the mice were missing. And to this day, I don't know what happened to my mice. So my honest opinion about pineapple on pizza is that I grew up eating it. So I don't have the like, ugh, response to it that many people do, but I also don't like it. But I do like pineapple, but mostly when it's mixed with coconut. But I like love coconut, so I think I'm not so much a pineapple person, is my honest opinion. I don't like ick it, but I don't like yum it either. But I do yum coconut. Maybe not on pizza. Okay, what celebrity would I cast in my show? Okay, well, I'm gonna talk generally. Like, generally, I would love to someday in my life cast, like, Oscar Isaac, since he is also of Guatemalan heritage in something of mine someday. That would be absolutely amazing. Also, I, like, adore him and Jessica Chastain together. I would, like, love to work with Jessica Chastain because she's incredible. If you haven't seen Scenes from a Marriage, I finally recently watched it. My dear teacher and mentor Amy Herzog wrote on it, and it is spectacular. And Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain have two of the best performances I think I've ever seen captured on film. So definitely watch it. It's amazing. But definitely Oscar Isaac. I just want to express some gratitude because I don't do that enough, and I have to sometimes rewind and just take stock of all the things that have happened in a year. 2024 was such a big year for me, and I had 4 productions of plays, which is more than I imagined would be possible ever in my life. And one of those was the production of Alma that happened at Chance Theater, which was the 7th production of that play, which was yet another thing that I never thought would be possible in my career as a playwright. So it was an incredible gift and dream come true. And I also want to express gratitude to not just Chance Theater as an entity, but to the incredible leadership and staff that work at Chance, and also to the amazing Koch family who hosted me while I was in town. Come see At the Very Bottom of a Body of Water on February 12th at Chance Theater.